Live from WOWT, First Alert 6 starts now.
Happy Friday. It's good to have you with us. I'm Erin Hartley.
I'm Cerise Cole, of course, joined by meteorologist Jared Lansford. Right now, if you're waking up, you're like, whoa, yeah, things are really nice. Mild temperatures, calm, quiet.
Yeah, this is a pretty good way to get the Friday going, isn't it? And we've actually kept the temperatures above freezing all night long, too. So that's continuing to get rid of some of that snow. So we get our way out the door. This is what you're looking at. You can see that snow continuing to melt away. Looks pretty good on Dodge at this point. And it feels pretty good, too. We've had a south wind that is keeping our temperatures even at this point up. 43 degrees is where we're at, and that's just enough to make it feel like the upper 30s, but it's not a bad way to get things underway today. This will be the kind of morning where you look at more clouds than sun. The sun may be occasionally peeking through, so if you get lucky, maybe it'll be a nice sunrise for you as you're heading out the door. Now, as we go through the day, it's going to remain that way. More clouds than sun, but not enough that it holds us back on our temperatures. You'll see by the time we get to midday, we're already right near 50 degrees. And as we get into the afternoon, we'll head for the upper 50s for our high. So lots to like on that regard. We're continuing to step forward from the last couple of days. However, we do have a front that's on the way, and as that comes through, that is going to bring the chance for a couple spotty showers, maybe some rumbles of thunder with this. Looks like 3 to 7 p.m. is the time frame. We'll have that making its way through the area. Very hit or miss with coverage. You can see just a couple of those that swing their way through on this model run. About a 10-minute downpour at most is what we're looking at, and a couple claps of thunder is the potential out of this. I think you have a bit of a better chance for this if you are off to the east of the metro for that to swing through. So Harlan, Denison, maybe Red Oak, you may see a bit of a better chance than everyone else, but not everybody gets rain out of this is the driving message with this, and it doesn't stick around all that long. By 7 p.m., already moving out, we're already clearing out the sky, and we're looking at a dry evening. If you do have plans for this afternoon evening, you do have to work around the wind, which will be picking up as that front comes in, turning to the northwest right around midday, and we'll get some gusts that are up around 40 miles per hour, probably a little too extreme with that one showing up there at 5 p.m. But I do think we get some of those up around 35, 40 miles per hour pretty consistently for the afternoon and into the evening. First alert to that. It'll calm down quickly as we head into the night tonight. So that's good news as we head into those evening hours. Once we get past sunset, you won't have to be contending with that nearly as much. So that's the driving message for today, and some pretty mild temperatures through the weekend as well. There's a lot to like in that regard. We'll be looking at some more 60s showing up, a return of those after the blizzard.
All right, Rusty always says, though, the perfect way to ruin a great spring day, of course, is the wind. And I'm saying the wind is something that we should talk about this weekend.
1, 2, 3. It wouldn't be so bad if it weren't for the wind. Yes. Yeah, that's going to be the weekend at large. Okay. We're going to be looking at the wind kind of changing directions on us. So let's walk through how that plays out. You can see the breezy there for Saturday, windy for Sunday, and it's the result of another system that comes through. So we talked about how the wind calms down tonight. We're going to look at that impacting our temperatures. Clear sky drops down into the 20s. It'll be a little cold as you step out the door tomorrow morning, but we'll recover pretty nicely with that wind picking up out of the south, getting us up into the 60s by our Saturday night. A couple spotty showers as the next front comes through, and that's going to be a similar situation to what we see for this afternoon. We're just a few of those around. Maybe we have a few by the time we get to Sunday morning. I think this is overdoing how many of those we have by the time we're starting Sunday. What you notice more is going to be that wind. We already talked about what we have for this afternoon. There's them calming down. They'll pick up out of the south as we get into the afternoon for our Saturday and get up around 30 miles per hour with those gusts. With that front that comes through Saturday night and brings those light showers, we actually keep the wind pretty steady through the night, and that'll keep us again from dropping off too far. Unfortunately, though, we're going to swing those winds around to the northwest behind that front and really pick them up. I do think we get some gusts that are up around 40, 45 miles per hour through the middle of the day and into the afternoon. And without snow on the ground, that could raise our fire risk. So first alert to that, especially if you're in southeast Nebraska, you already have the dry ground. That's something to keep in mind. But Temperatures are looking pretty good. You just have to put up with the wind through that stretch. And we're kind of keeping this pattern going. We make our way into our Tuesday. Another front that maybe brings a spotty shower or two, but more so stirs the wind up. And we got a couple other minor chances for some precip that are in that forecast there by the time we get into our next weekend.
So the temperatures are looking good. With all that melting we had yesterday, how are the roads looking?
Well, it's improving a lot.
Okay.
Yesterday morning we had all sorts of issues.
Oh, we did.
We were struggling with the traffic lights being covered. We had slick spots. Let's take a look at the road conditions that are out there right now. And I can tell you it looks a whole lot better on that map than what we were seeing at this time yesterday. And in the metro, it's that melting that's continuing to take place. If you're in neighborhood side streets, you're probably going to still want to use a little extra caution. There may still be some slick spots that you encounter there. The other spots where you need to use that extra caution, maybe leave some extra time, as you make your way north and west of the metro. Blair, Fremont, as you get closer to Scribner, Schuyler, these are areas that picked up some of the most snow out of that event the other day. And so you're still seeing some patchy to complete coverage showing up on those roads at this time. So extra caution as you're heading through those areas. Plan accordingly as you're heading out the door. Otherwise, though, it's moving along pretty well. Not too many big issues that we are seeing as we start the morning off. Couple of minor slowdowns, some of our busy intersections, 90th and Dodge, 72nd and Dodge, where you just have a lot of traffic that's filtering its way through, but we haven't really had any crashes yet at this point, and we're gonna hope that I didn't just jinx everybody in the metro by saying that, but hey, it's a good start to a Friday. Hopefully we keep going.
All right. Jared, thank you. Oh, a large police presence and personal rescue at an Omaha apartment building. Omaha police say residents at City View evacuated after a gas leak. Thankfully, this is under control. There are no reports, though, of any injuries. Residents were seen re-entering at around 9 o'clock last night. Well, City View has been in the news a lot this year.
It sure has. In January, city officials put the owners on notice for several code violations. 7 unoccupied units had to be closed because they were unsafe then. In late January, City View passed its fire inspection, stopping the city from vacating the apartment complex. City inspectors continue to keep an eye on several units.
Well, first alerting you to major progress after being made by OPPD. Taking a live look now at OPPD's outage map. We have just over 23,000 customers, though, without power. A little bit over 9,000 those in Douglas County. In Iowa, Mid-American Energy is reporting about 700 outages in the Council Bluffs area.
The Douglas County Health Department says 7 geese were recently found with bird flu at Heartland of America Park downtown. Officials say they tested 3 of them, and all 3 tested positive for bird flu. As many as 90 birds were spotted near the dead birds. If you do see a large group of dead birds, you should contact the state public health agency. Nebraska ag officials have reported 4 outbreaks in backyard flocks this year.
Happening today, the deadline to register to vote for Omaha's primary. It's also the deadline to request an early voting ballot to be mailed to you. First-time voters, as well as those who need to re-register to a new address, will have to go into the Election Commission office. The official deadline is 6. All right, in the meantime, joined now by Marie Kate at the safety desk. You might have spent yesterday cheering on your pick to win March Madness, but screaming and shouting can actually take a toll on your voice.
There are some things that, everybody needs to keep in mind. Of course, it's so hard when you're in the moment, but that can really cause a big impact on you long term, too, if you're not careful. So experts say that shouting for a long time, that can really damage your vocal cords. And if you aren't careful, this could lead to some permanent damage in the future, in the long term. And it can lead to lesions on your vocal cords. We definitely want to avoid that. So experts say to stay hydrated by drinking lots of water. You want to avoid pop, alcohol, even some fried, salty, and spicy foods, because these can all really dry out your vocal cords. Of course, it is easier said than done, again, when you're in the moment, but you do want to take some breaks from that cheering to give your voice a little rest.
Our voice is really kind of our treasure. It's part of who we are, and it's very important to take care of it. It's important for fans to remember that they don't need to be the loudest voice in the room.
Now, of course, there are some other ways to cheer that don't involve screaming with your voice, clapping, using noisemakers or cowbells. After the game, though, you do want to try and soothe your throat. You can sip some warm tea with honey, inhale steam too. That can really help to relax your vocal cords.
Okay, some good tips. In the meantime, the annual World Happiness Report is out. What can we say?
I know, this is really some great news. So the World Happiness Report is a global analysis on happiness and well-being. It comes out every year, but this year's report was focused on acts of benevolence and people's expectations of their community. So we're talking about acts like donating money, volunteering, and even doing nice things for a stranger. So the data from the report suggests 70% of the world's population did at least one kind thing in the last month. And one expert with Gallup says those acts of kindness, they could actually make you happier than having a higher salary. Who would have thought? The study is released every year on the International Day of Kindness, which was yesterday.
That kind of made me cheerful.
It was great. Always good to hear.
All right, Maria, thank you. We're back after this.
Well, we are back. It is finally Friday, so Jared has our finally Friday forecast, what we can expect all weekend.
Yeah, I think this week is probably dragged for people with the blizzard conditions and everything that's been happening. So thankfully, we've got some nice temperatures that are showing up through the weekend. 58 today, 64, 60 for Saturday and Sunday respectively. You're probably going to notice too, though, windy, breezy, windy. That's definitely going to be a factor all weekend long that we have to deal with that. A couple spotty showers around at times too this afternoon. Again, Saturday night will be some things that you're going to have to deal with. So probably your best times to get outside are going to be this morning. And then as we get into our Saturday, you're still contending with some of that wind, but it's just not going to be quite as aggressive as what we're seeing this afternoon and on Sunday. Here's where we stand right now. We've got the snow continuing to melt, 43 degrees where we're at, and we're on the way to that high in the upper 50s. So as we go through the day, a fair amount of cloud cover will be present. We have that chance for a couple of spotty showers that swing through the area. Again, not everyone gets these. At most, you maybe get a 1/10 of an inch out of these. It's not going to be much rain, and maybe you hear a rumble or two of thunder. It's going to be pretty short-lived with what you see. If you do pick any of those up, we'll clear out tonight and set ourselves up for what actually ends up being kind of a chilly start to our Saturday as the winds subside after those peaks that we see this afternoon. There you can see how quiet things get as we head overnight. So tomorrow morning starts off pretty quiet as well. It's just that it's in the 20s for those temperatures. Quite the recovery as we get up into the mid 60s. The wind will pick up as we get into the midday hours, and then we'll have those gusts up to 30 miles per hour out of the south. More cloud cover as the day goes on as well, but into the mid-60s is not a bad way to spend the day. And the weekend concludes with Sunday having those strong winds as well. Let's look ahead a little bit more, give you an idea how things go for the work week, and it's going to be more of this pattern continuing where we see a couple of weak systems that try to bring some spotty showers at times. Late Monday, as we get into Tuesday, another chance for a few showers to be around that don't really add up to too much. We get toward Thursday, another chance for a few showers to graze the area. Then we get a system that has a little bit more potential to it. First alert to watching the time frame late Friday into our Sunday. There's a lot of differences on models as far as how things play out for our area, but the running theme is that there is a system in the Midwest that will have some strength to it. This particular model has us getting rain for much of Friday night into our Saturday, maybe trying to swing a change into some snow, and then seeing that exit late Saturday. Other models have us on the warm side and getting some storms out of this. So we'll be tracking this, continuing to keep you posted with the latest as we get closer. It's still a ways away. You've got a lot of weather you can enjoy in the meantime. That includes these nice mild temperatures that are going to be in place. Of course, you'll have to brave the wind through that stretch, but not much in the way of rain chances to deal with. And even as we're starting off next week, we have lows in the 30s and temperatures that are pretty seasonal with those 50s and 60s.
I mean, like you said, it looks like we're looking pretty average and moderate, not dipping down to the freezing temperatures like we've been seeing.
No, and we actually even have a couple days that look even warmer than that when we head forward. We get toward Friday. Circle that one on your calendar. 75, looking like we have partly to mostly cloudy skies, but the wind not looking like a big factor right now. We'll see with that storm system just on the horizon beyond that. You do notice a little bit of a dip in the temperatures with that, so that's something to watch. But we look long term. The overall trend continues to point toward warmer than average, and that's even as we're making that change over to the month of April. So maybe, just maybe, we are putting winter in the rear view completely and start to fully head into spring mode as we go through the next couple weeks.
Let's do it.
Let's do it. Yeah. Okay, we all agree. So that's the way it's going to be.
Our vote. Okay, Jared, thanks. Well, knockdown power lines near La Vista Road are leaving many in the dark, even still. It's also creating a traffic limbo for drivers at Giles Road between 108th and 69th. OPPD crews closed down the road on both sides to fix that lost power. Some area business owners say they feel lucky that their power is back on. A baker whose shop is right next to this mess says it's been tough.
But this was pretty scary, knowing that like the power poles were completely out, power lines were on the ground, and we didn't know if we could even get to the bakery to address it or fix the situation with our refrigeration. We were thankfully able to do so.
The Papillion Police Department says they don't expect repairs to be done until today. The decision has come to an end for Omaha men's basketball.
Yeah, the Mavs lost to St. John's 83-53 in the first round of the NCAA tournament. It was a season that saw the Mavs win their first Summit League tournament title, earn their first trip to the NCAA tournament, and of course, lots of trash can celebrations. But despite the loss, it's all about perspective for the Mavs.
Got a lot of emotions right now, but it's a sense of gratitude. What we did at our school, nobody else has done. I told them in the locker room, just hanging out with the older guys when they come and play pickup with us, and us telling them stories about how they go into different places, almost won it and never did. So I just told our guys, just keep your head up, because I mean, we did something that nobody else did. When we come back with our kids, we can show them those banners that's hanging up there. So I mean, we just got to be grateful.
They should be so proud. The Mavs finished the season 22-13. Those 22 wins, the most in the team's Division I history. To our Blue Jays extra coverage now. Creighton moving on to the second round of the NCAA tournament.
But if they're going to reach their third straight Sweet 16, they will officially have to go through the top seed in the bracket. That's Auburn. It was all smiles as the Jays left the court after their commanding 89-75 win over Louisville. The celebration, though, it's not going to last long as the Jays have to prepare mentally and physically for the best team in college basketball.
I think the challenges are many, but you know, it's what this time of the year is all about. Let's hook it up and see what happens.
I mean, they're number one overall seed for a reason, so I don't know too much about them because we haven't scouted them yet, but I'm sure within the next 24 hours I'll get to know them really well. But obviously they're really good and we'll have our hands full. They'll present the biggest challenge that we've faced so far, I believe. I mean, they're regarded as one of the best teams in the country, so it'll definitely be a game that we haven't played before. But I mean, I feel like as long as we're together on the court, there's nothing we can't do. You can't count us out early.
Tip-off is tomorrow at 6:10.
As for Creighton women's basketball, well, they are on the road for their matchup in the NCAA tournament. Their game is tomorrow in Austin, Texas. The 9th-seeded Blue Jays face 8th-seed Illinois. Tip-off is at 6:15.
That our Big Red Extra coverage. The Huskers are ready to help get the NCAA women's tournament underway. They arrived in Fort Worth late Wednesday night after their flight was delayed about 6 hours due to the blizzard. They'll take on Louisville in the first round. Tip-off is set for today at 5. Reclaiming the title of top dog.
Now find out the dog breed voted most popular in America when the first Vote 6 streaming returns.
Well, the Oscar-winning movie is now getting a sequel.
Now, Pixar is planning a sequel to its 2017 hit, Coco. We can expect fan-favorite characters like Miguel, Mama Imelda, Hector, and Dante to all return. Disney chief Bob Iger announced at the company's annual shareholder meeting, Coco 2 is due in 2029. We're going to have to wait a bit.
Yes.
No word, though, on a plot, but the original directors are all on board.
That's a really beautiful movie.
It's such a great one. And I love down in Disney World, they had the Mexico Pavilion too, and they sort of turned it into a Coco theme after the movie came out, so you get to experience the movie in person.
It's another one we have to add to our list.
Yes,
Jared.
I've heard great things.
It's a good one.
Well, the American Kennel Club came out with its list of the top dog breeds for 2024.
All right, the French Bulldog reigns as supreme and the most popular purebred dog in the U.S. for a third year. The Kennel Club's next 5 most popular breeds are the Lab, the Golden Retriever, the German Shepherd, the Poodle, and the Dachshund. None of those surprise me at all.
They're all good choices, but I think I'd probably say that about any breed of dog. So.
What kind of dog do you have?
I have a Cavapoo, so he's
okay.
a half Cavalier King Charles, half miniature poodle, and he is my favorite thing in the world. I am not kidding.
He is adorable.
Thank you.
You stand by that
Yes.
too. Brandon, did you have a dog growing up?
With a yellow lab.
Oh, okay. They're sweet. They're so sweet. All right. Thank you so much for joining us. We're going to get ready for our update in today's show. You can watch it here on Stream It or over the air.
All right, have a great weekend.
I forgot to ask you if you had a dog.
German Shepherds and Scotties.
There you go. Okay.
Live from WOWT, First Alert 6 starts now.
Good Friday morning, everybody. It is 7:26. I'm Cerise Cole. We want to get right to First Alert 6 traffic with Jared Lansford, who's first alerting us to road conditions at this hour.
And they have improved so much over the last 24 hours. If you're driving through side streets, neighborhoods, you're still going to want to use some caution. You may still encounter some snowy areas, but it is a whole lot better. We've been melting snow all through the last 18 hours, and still some areas you need to watch near Blair, Fremont, where you still have some of that snow. You saw more of it from that event, so you still have patchy to complete coverage, but elsewhere it has improved, and that's getting reflected some with how things are moving on the roads. No real problems that are showing up as we start off our Friday. That kind of extends into our forecast too, at least for the morning hours, where things are pretty mild, and you can see the snow continues to go away at this point. 43 is our temperature. A little bit of a south breeze that's propped us up as we've made our way through the morning hours. A little colder where you've had more of the snow. You can see York down at 32. Unfortunately, still some power issues impacting the stations in Fremont. But you can see how things go through the day. We'll step things up, end up about 58 for our high. We'll have mostly cloudy sky by the afternoon. We'll also bring in the chance for a couple of spotty thunder showers. Very hit or miss. Most of us are going to stay dry. We'll see that from 3 to 7 p.m. and then those will be on their way. But plenty of wind alongside that. Talking gusts that get up around 40 miles per hour. Probably not quite as strong as that gust there, but 40 miles per hour out of the northwest this afternoon and evening, Cerise.
All right, we'll get ready for that, Jared. Thank you. Well, more woes for City View Apartments. Residents had to be evacuated from the building last night due to a gas leak. Thankfully, no injuries to report. It is 7:28 and we are back with another update for you in about 25 minutes. We'll see you then. Have a great day, everybody.